Oh, yay! We're live. Hello, everybody. I am here. My name is Claire Broad, for those of you who don't know me, and this is my first YouTube live. Now, I know there's many people out there who have been used to seeing me do live broadcasts over the years over on Facebook, but I'm no longer using the Facebook platform, and it's a great privilege and excitement actually to be sitting here coming across to all of you who are watching. I can see there's some of you there, which is always good to know. But for those of you that are going to be joining me live here tonight, or for those of you who could be joining me on catch up when this video just hits my video playlist on my YouTube channel together with Spirit, I want to give you a big welcome. Thank you for joining me. John, mwah, big kiss. It is so lovely to see you. Hi. So I've got chats on, everybody, so you can, just like in Facebook, for those of you who might not have used YouTube live before, you can type in anything that you want to let me know. You can ask questions and I'll see it come up in my chat list and I will be able to interact with you, because that's the beauty of lives, which is why I wanted to come and do this with you again. It's been so long. I have missed doing the live broadcasts, because the reason I do them is it's my way of giving back to you guys for nothing. It's my little way of giving back to the community, doing something for free, giving you free education, some inspiration, some upliftment, perhaps motivation. I post videos here on Together with Spirit that I hope educate, inspire and awaken, to help you to grow spiritually and to find your community, your tribe. Now, just having a look at the chats, there's Patricia. Hello from Germany. Oh, it's so lovely to have you back, Pat. Seems like ages since we've spoken. So lots of familiar faces and names come in. Julia Church. Hi, Julia. It's working. Now, interestingly, I don't know if there's a delay on this. There used to be on Facebook, so I'm a complete novice at YouTube lives. It seems to be working, so I'm just going to jump straight in. So yes, as I was saying, this is my way of giving back to you guys for nothing. I understand that people out there can't always afford to pay for a reading. They might not be able to get in with me. I mean, my one-to-one readings are booked about 2 years in advance on average. I am obviously trying to get out there with my books and things to try and help as many people as possible. But this is just a great way to connect with the world, because the world is out there. And I have many students from all over the world joining me when I'm teaching. I know you're all there. I'm just going to have a look here. We've got Get Bold with Stacey. Love that. Hi from the US. Oh, how lovely. Thank you for joining me. And we've got Julianne Firth. Oh, how lovely. Thank you for joining me. Jenny F. Hi, Claire. I've been reading your books and watching your videos, and they have given me so much comfort after a heartbreaking year. Jenny, I'm so sorry to hear that. You know, we can't die. We can't. And when we love deeply, and it hurts when we feel that separation, but our loved ones are with us always. And I do videos just for people like you who have had a very difficult time and are looking to understand the greater reality, the spirit world, your nature, your eternal nature, and to know your loved ones are with you. And I assure you, when I speak from the heart with absolute conviction. I know that consciousness survives physical death. And we might not have all the scientific proof of that yet, but I tell you what, there's so much out there now pointing to a greater reality. It isn't just people like me saying this out there. It's so exciting. There is a real field of information and people coming together sharing this knowledge. So I hope that you get a bit of inspiration and a bit of hope in difficult times. One of the reasons why I wanted to do this live now is because we are on the run up to Christmas. It's always a very difficult time. We're coming off the back of a pandemic, or maybe we're still right in the throes of it. But, you know, I know this is a very difficult time for many people. So if I can say something inspiring or uplifting, or say something that might just stay with you, then all's the better for it. Jennifer, let me have a look at that. What's that? Looks Jennifer O'Mahony. Am I saying that, Jennifer? I'm so sorry. You've just listened to my book on Audible and it was amazing. Audible. Why do I have problems saying that? audible. Put my teeth in. It's a bit of a trip, isn't it, Jennifer? I think hearing that voice of the lady who did a brilliant job of reading What the Dead Are Dying to Teach Us for me, and then maybe hearing my dulcet tones coming across the airwaves to you. Oh, thank you. I got your name right. Mwah. Big kiss. Thank you to everyone who is reading my books, listening to my books, engaging with my work. It means so much. Like I say, this is my chance to give back and connect with you all. So we have got, your mind was blown, was it, what, reading my book? Well, I'm telling you, you can ask me any question you like off the back of it, Jennifer, because every word I wrote in that book was complete truth to me, and there is a whole lot more. Now, I've been asking you for questions to be sent to me, and I received so many from people that follow me on Instagram and people on YouTube who have been messaging me, asking me if I will answer your questions. That's what I love about this. We can deep dive, we can chew over the fact. We don't need to agree with each other all the time. That's absolutely fine if we don't. Take what resonates with you and leave what doesn't. That's the beauty of a spiritual pathway. I would never put myself out there as someone who has all the answers. How can we? This universe is so awesomely infinite. None of us have got all the answers. I can share my personal experience with you, and then you can, I'm sure, share yours, because I know lots of people in this community will have had their own personal experiences. They're already spiritually aware or on the spiritual pathway because of it, and that's why I just love connecting with you. So what have we got here? Julianne Firth is saying, hello, Anne. Isn't that lovely? So I love it, the way you can all talk to each other while I'm talking, because I'm going to get right into this now. Because those who are watching on catch up might be a little bit bored if I do too much pre-talk. And I do like to talk. Okay, so on my phone, I've got a whole load of your questions that you've put to me. So what I'm going to do is, in the time that we've got available, maybe the next half an hour, 40 minutes, so that I don't lose you entirely, I'm going to answer as many as I can. If I don't get through all your questions today on this video, I will come back again live and I will finish off the questions or answer any new ones that you may have. Because this is what I love to do, is just to hear what you want to know and then to be able to respond to you. So I have a lovely question here from David Hoover. David, thank you so much for asking this question. Now, it is quite deep, so we're going to deep dive straight off the bat here, but I think it might be interesting for a lot of people. It is actually for Jennifer, by the way. It's off the back of him reading my book. So he's saying that he's read many books from mediums who say that they are second and fourth generation. In other words, that they've inherited their ability down through the family. And he's saying that he believes that I wrote that other people in my family have psychic abilities. Yes, I did, David. Thank you very much. My grandmother saw spirit, my nan. She saw spirit so clearly, she didn't even know that they were spirit beings until they might just disappear through a wall. How crazy is that? I don't see in that way, but my lovely nan, she saw the spirit world just as real as anything. Her grandmother, my great-great-grandmother, Isabella, she was known for seeing the spirit world too. So it's strange. In my family, it's kind of jumped down a generation. Now, my mum is a brilliant energy healer, but she doesn't see the spirit world in the same way, although I'm sure she could. And then me. So we will see what happens down the line. So David's asking me, do I think that this is an evolutionary process developing in our species, or is it that spirit chooses people they feel have what's necessary to spread the word of spirit and bring love? Okay, you are too modest in assessing your abilities. You are extraordinary, Claire. Oh, bless you, David. I had a magical hour plus with you. Oh, David, feeling that. Okay, so let's get to this. Do I think that it's an evolutionary process? Yes, I do think it's an evolutionary process, but I think it's been there the whole time. In other words, I believe that some people are more genetically predisposed to be able to access their psychic abilities. Definitely I do, based on the experience in my own family, but also on the research of Dr. Helene Warbe at the Institute of Noetic Sciences, who has done studies on people with psychic abilities, not just mediumship, but psychics and remote viewers and people that experience premonitions, and there's a whole kit and caboodle here that can be put into this category. But her studies suggest that there's a genetic influence there too. And I also know lots of people who are mediums who talk about it being handed down, energy healers too, down the line, and that they have sort of, it's been in the family. You often hear of the seventh son, for instance, don't you? So there's something in this for sure. So it is an evolutionary process, but something that's been around all the time. And if anything, David, I think we've actually lost touch with it. My feeling is that when we were, if you like, more in tune with nature, go back to pagan days, go back to even before that, before we had that understanding, more of a scientific understanding, humans were much more in tune with the world around them, especially when they were living more closely to nature, and therefore their psychic abilities and their intuitions were much heightened. And there is evidence actually of the brain sort of shrinking in that sense of the word, because it's not being used. So I think we need to get back to using the pituitary gland, where the third eye sits there, exercising it through meditation and teaching people that we've all got psychic ability. Some of us are just more genetically predisposed, just like some of us are more genetically predisposed to being great athletes or runners. You know, I'm never going to be as fast as Usain Bolt, for instance. I just don't have his build. I am better, developed, if you like, or made genetically for doing mediumship and psychic work. But that doesn't mean that we can't all learn it. And I know, and this is what I teach all the time, that if you have a human body, then you have the receiver that's possible to be used for psychic ability and mediumship. And just like we can all pick up crayons and pens and we can enjoy doing art, but we might not all be Picasso, doesn't mean that we can't develop a connection between our own loved ones and ourselves, and be aware of them and sense when our loved ones come around us and feel that closeness. Because I'm always teaching that death ends a life, physical life. It doesn't end a relationship. In fact, I noticed that love bonds deepen as loved ones are separated. And there's almost a developing or a deepening of the connection between two souls after someone's passing. And that relationship goes on and makes even, deeper bonds. I believe when we get back into the spirit world, therefore, we're going to really enjoy that reunion, because it's going to have grown even deeper with more respect and more understanding of what each other brought to the table, if you like. I'm seeing that Jennifer said, I'm having things happen at home. My husband's friend recently passed. I'm sorry to hear that, Jennifer. We think he's trying to talk to us as our TVs randomly turn on since his death. Very typical. My husband was walking his dog and smelt his cigar. Now, these are absolutely typical signs. Did you know, Jennifer, that in the first 3 to 6 months, the research by parapsychologists shows that your loved ones in spirit are more likely to reach out to you direct than they are to come through a medium. Mediumship needs to be learnt. That spirit person needs to find the right medium for them. So if they can come to you directly by interfering with electrical equipment, bringing smells to you, which is known as clair scent, SCENT, clair scent, clear smells, sensing of smells, they will do that to you. In fact, I wrote in What the Dead Are Dying to Teach Us about how my spirit guide made himself known to me, first of all, by using smells. So what do we got here? Sam Munro. Hi, Sam. Perfect. Good evening. Yes, good to hear. Oh, that's lovely. So I'm just seeing you all chatting. I think I've had strange things happen throughout my whole life, but I think I need to tune into it. That's from Michelle Armstrong. Well, you're not alone, Michelle. Loads of people feel like that. I think many of us are having experience. If I had £1 or $1 for every time somebody told me a story that had happened to them or somebody around them, then I think I might be a very rich person by now. For me, I'm hearing the stories all the time, and I'm hearing quite far out stories too. I have experienced nearly every form of mediumship. Well, I think I've experienced every form of mediumship, from just the lighter states of channeling to mental mediumship, meaning communication to the mind, to trance states, to physical mediumship, and beyond. There really isn't much I haven't experienced now, guys. So I really can bring a wealth of understanding to you. Okay, there's Cisco. Oh, Cisco, big kiss from Journey Through the Gate Paranormal Portal podcast. If you're looking for a podcast you want to listen to, I love Cisco. She's got a really deep wisdom and insight. She's walked the path herself. So there's a bit of a shout out to you there, Cisco. Right. So lovely, David. I hope that's answered your question. Okay. I think you did add something onto there. I'm just trying to have a look at it. Just make sure I've answered you. Okay. So apparently David just wanted me to finish by saying that when he saw me for a reading, I'd stated that my late wife had high frequency energy, so was not easy to contact. Oh, this is good. Okay. And he's not exactly sure what I meant by that. Sorry that I wasn't clear enough to you, David, at the time. What I mean by that is that some people are old souls. They have been around the block many, many times, and they are beginning to take the path of what's called spiritual ascension. I'm sorry about all the labels that we put on this. I have to interchange words. But I would have meant that your wife, David, was reaching a level of spiritual understanding and awareness in her while she was living on the physical world that meant that she was a high frequency being existing in states of emotion that raise her up into high frequency, much like the spirit guides and the higher beings in the spirit world are at a different level of awareness. I don't know what's happening as I'm lifting up my hand there. Sorry, guys, it's playing with the lighting. I don't know if you're getting that. But so as she goes into the deeper realms of spirit and further away from our earthly conditions because of her spiritual understanding, and she gets into the higher spheres and planes in the spirit world, she's no longer existing as close to our physical world. It becomes harder for people to sense and feel those more high frequency beings. We have to learn to attune ourselves to those states of emotions so that we can meet them. So not all mediums sense or feel spirit people sometimes if they're not able to get up to those higher states of spiritual awareness. It's a frequency. You know, Tesla said everything in the universe is energy, frequency, and waves. I am really understanding this now. Your spirit body, your soul, it's an energy. And therefore, that energy can transform and exist at different frequencies, but based on our level of awareness and consciousness states. And so some spirit people move away from our earthly world when they're kind of, done with the whole cycle of lives and moving more into the spiritual aspect of life. And they become more difficult to reach or more subtle to feel, even though they're around us, even though they're there and they never leave us. We begin to feel it's more difficult to sense them because our physical body is quite dense in nature. It's solid, it's heavy, it's matter. And we also get dragged down by our experiences in this world that also can change our mood and lower our emotional state of being, which is a frequency. You know what it's like when people talk about feeling depressed. You feel heavy, you feel low, you feel tired. You say you're feeling down. They're all these kinds of terms that are used to denote the fact that your energy has dropped. And if your energy has dropped and your loved one's energy is raised because they moved into higher states of awareness, joy and bliss in the spirit worlds, you're starting to do this and you feel as though you're further away from each other. In reality, you're not, because your loved ones love you and they'll always be coming close. Are people who have healing powers already more advanced old souls? Because you told me I have healing hands. Pat, that's a really good question. I don't know. I don't think that's necessarily true, because I don't want to sit here as judge and jury over who's a new soul and who's an old soul, and whether they have, if you like, more spiritual awareness, because some souls are going to get there so much more quicker than others, who are enjoying the drama, who enjoy sitting in sort of, perhaps more dramatic circumstances, and so aren't choosing to move on, or move up in their level of awareness. So not necessarily, but I would say that most people who have a spiritual understanding tend to be more spiritually aware and older in their evolutionary terms, because they've been around the block a few times now, and they're paying attention to their spiritual life, or the spiritual aspect of them, because their soul is calling them home, basically. And so therefore you can find it easier, because you become more sensitive, because you're more attuned to spiritual knowledge, to learn the likes of Reiki and mediumship and psychic awareness and all of these kinds of things. But could a young soul do that? Absolutely they could. If they, the soul is infinite potential. So anything is possible, and we don't want to limit our thoughts here. Probably it's more likely that somebody who has had a lot of earthly experiences and is sort of used to navigating this physical vehicle of a body may be able to use that ability more. But like I said, it's comes down to lots of factors, including your genes, and there is so much. Gosh, I could just say so much on this, and I need to move on. Okay, so I had a question from Mrs. Valentine Short. She came to me via Instagram, so I hope you're watching tonight. But otherwise, I will be putting the link on Instagram for people to come and see this anyway. Her question is, do our loved ones stay around us for long and then move on to do other things? And does our grief prevent them from moving forward? Such great questions, and it ties in really with what I've been talking about, doesn't it really? This is sort of piggybacking on the end. So do our loved ones stay around us for long and then move on to do other things? They stay with us always. Your loved ones are simply a thought away, literally a thought away. So they'll never be far away from you. Where there is love, there is always love. Those bonds stay. And when they've been formed, love to me is not a feeling. Love to me is an energy. And we feel that energy and we call it love. The energy from which we all came out of is the unconditional nature of the source of everything, if you like. We come from love, that source. And so when two souls come together and they recognize each other and they blend in energy in harmony and they experience love, unity, that love is a bond that is there infinitely. I mean, we're all connected anyway. And so your loved ones tend to stay close to the earth whilst they're sort of in the throes of transitioning from one world to the next. So not long after they've passed, like we've discussed earlier, they'll be more likely to come around you and try to get you to sense and feel them, to let you know that they're okay and that they're still with you. But once they settle into the spirit dimensions, what I find happens is that the communication becomes less. There is less of a need or urgency to it, because they're settling and they're seeing that you're healing and there's no real need. They will always be there, and they will come instead at times when you are feeling the separation between them keenly. Anniversaries, Christmases, times in your life that you're being challenged, they will come close then. But for the main, they move into their new state of being as we would want them to, and they try to settle there. And it's so amazing in the spiritual dimensions. Why would we want to hold them back from that experience? Unconditional love would be to let them go and do what they need to do, knowing that that bond of love is always there and they're just a thought away. So what do they do in the spirit dimensions? My goodness, what don't they do? There are halls of learning. They continue their learning. They continue to carry out in the, if you like, the astral planes, those planes that are closest to the earthly conditions, where it's very mirrored. They continue to learn skills, to bring new ideas in, to, it might be create music, inspire people here. Oh, they could have really any experience they want or put their mind to. And so if there is passions that they have, a lot of the spirit beings show me that if there was a particular, I don't know, maybe they passed in tragic ways, for instance, or too young, that they might spend time helping others that are crossing in that particular way, whether it was traumatic or, you know, perhaps there was, you know, mental illness there, so that those in spirit come in service to those who are crossing over to help them. We're all in service to one another, and in the spirit world, they'll be in service to each other just like we are here. So they may be doing things like that, learning new skills, and just really learning about the awesome nature of the spirit dimensions. I mean, there's so much to explore. I believe it's infinite. Okay, I'm just having a look down here. Oh, Sam, she's saying it's so good to hear you again. That's so lovely. Thank you. Well, you know, leave me some comments here and let me know. Are you enjoying what I'm talking about? Are you getting something out of it? I hope you are. And if you want to see me back again, let me know, because we have a lovely community around us here of spiritual seekers. And, you know, I'm trying to bring everyone together, and these lives, I believe, are a really great way to do that. Okay, so does our grief prevent people from moving forward? I need to just answer this question. It's really important. No, it doesn't. But I will say that your loved ones aren't so settled quite if they are aware of how much you're grieving. So if you are stuck in your grief, or if you are struggling to the point where you are suffering and not listening, I'm talking about beyond the normal level of grief. We all grieve to varying degrees based on the connection that we held, and the amount of love that we held for that particular person will dictate how deeply we grieve, obviously. But if our loved ones can see that we are processing that grief and it's going through the natural process, no, we don't hold them back. No, they are existing on higher realms of understanding, and they know this is also part of our learning and our growth. Really, if you get really stuck in something, and the only time I see this is when people have really had very tragic passings and their loved ones just can't move past it, they may well choose, and you're not holding them back, okay, this is really important, they may well choose to stay closer to you until you're doing better because they love you. Okay, but everything in the spirit dimensions is a choice, as it is here in this world. So if they do that, it's because they need to be close to you too. And I find that a lot of people in this world rack themselves with guilt unnecessary around the conditions of a loved one's passing and their grief, and they hold their own enjoyment of life and healing back because of it, because they're sort of projecting their own fears and actual lack of understanding about the spirit world out there, and it's holding their healing back. So it's very important. Know when you grieve, you do not hold your loved ones back, but they do want to see you well, and they will come back in visitation until they're satisfied that you're doing okay, and that for the time being, you guys can sort of exist, live, and enjoy your earthly existence whilst they're in spirit until you come back together again. Oh, okay. Get bold with Stacey. Woo! She's saying this is lovely, Claire. Please keep doing the live chats. Oh, well, I will do. Thank you, because, you know, it's really quite enjoyable doing YouTube. Okay. Now, what have we got here? Lovely Helen. Hi, Claire. My question is that if someone's passing was very sudden and unexpected, how does that affect them? Is it different? Do they need to come to terms with it just as we do here? Wow, what a fabulous, fabulous question. There is so many great questions that I can answer here that can give people some level of comfort, understanding, and insight. I don't think I could ever really stop answering these questions, because it's something that I see people suffering with all the time. With just the lack of understanding that's out there about all of this. It's my mission to kind of bang the drum and just help people understand more about the reality around them. And because, we're not taught this in schools, we're not prepared to cope with the passing of a loved one. It's all brushed under the table and seen as a failure, isn't it? Even by the medical teams, if they can't keep people alive, if we can't survive. But death is a part of life, and it's a beautiful part when you understand it. Anyway, I'm not saying it's not sad and it's not painful. Any goodbye is sad, but it doesn't have to be fearful. That's the thing I want to try and stamp out. Okay, so if someone's passing is sudden and unexpected, how does it affect them? It really does depend on the nature of the passing and the age of the person and the circumstances around them, Helen. So, for instance, say somebody in their 90s passed suddenly in their sleep at night and just passed away, woke up on the spirit side of life, if you like. It's going to be absolutely fine. They're almost just not going to even realize they've passed. It's going to be so easy and almost expected, and they're probably quite tired in this earthly world by then, run down by a physical body that isn't really coping very well and spluttering along. And so that kind of passing that's sudden is going to be fine. They're going to probably welcome with open arms the loved ones that are coming to receive them and the experiences they're going to have, because they're going to be feeling youthful and full of life and vital again. It'll be easy. Obviously, for somebody younger, perhaps somebody, for instance, in their 20s or teens, that passes very tragically or very, suddenly in unforeseen circumstances, it can affect them in different ways. So what happens with those people is those souls are met always by other family members or spirit guides or people, like I was saying, in the spirit world, who have dedicated their time to coming and helping people that cross in such a manner. So they will be helped to understand that they have now passed from the physical world into the spiritual world, because it will have happened very suddenly for them. They might not even, have kind of grasped the situation, because I have come across people that haven't, in the spirit dimensions, that haven't even really understood that they're no longer on the physical world, because the astral planes closest to the physical world look exactly the same as we transition in. It makes that very smooth, you see. It's fascinates me. So sometimes they're not lost, by the way. You can't be lost. It's all about choice, what you focus your attention on. Do they sometimes need guidance? Yes. Is that guidance there? Yes, it is. And if those people can't recognize the guidance by guides or loved ones in spirit, then people like myself are used by the spirit guides in the spirit world to reach out to those people and help them to understand that they've crossed and passed. So there are many ways in which those souls are reached. Now, can I just say, and I want to stress this point, I have read for so many parents who have lost children who were teenagers and 20 something, and by far most of them, even when they've passed suddenly and tragically, are straight into the realms of light. I have very, very rarely connected with anybody who is of that age group who has struggled to move into the spirit world. Maybe because young people can accept change a lot quicker, I don't know. Or maybe it's just because they understand it's their time, or maybe it's because the spirit dimensions are just so awesome. They've gone with it into that unconditional love, and not worried, because they obviously know they're still alive. Their life just is. Most of the time people are fine, and I want to stress that. Okay. How does it affect them? I say crossing over into the spirit world is the next great adventure, and I'm not fearful of it at all myself. In fact, I often feel pangs of homesickness because I know the beauty of the love that is waiting. If we keep our sights on that, then we just know that one day we are going to be wrapped in the most awesome, loving arms of the people that have gone before us, and those that we don't even know in this world that we've journeyed with before, and spirit teachers and the love of the spirit people around us. You know, there is really nothing to fear. Julianne, what would happen if a loved one met up with someone in spirit that they disliked intensely on earth, Claire? Someone they dreaded meeting up with? Great question. Okay, well, this happens. Happens quite a lot. I can't tell you how many readings I've done where clients say to me, well, I did not expect those two to come in together. They hated each other. Couples, for instance, that got divorced. You would think it was the last thing, that was the last person that they would each choose to be with in the spirit dimensions, and yet they come through together in a reading. They have a higher level of awareness in spirit, a greater perspective of the soul purpose of why the two of you were in this world together, and why you kind of had chosen to journey and to trigger each other so much that you despise them, because that connection and that relationship was there to teach you something about yourself. I really want to write a new book. I've really got to write about all of this kind of thing, because I can see so many of you out there wanting to understand the deeper connections between your loved ones, and especially difficult relationships in spirit, where soul families or soul groups come together. And I don't want to get too much into all that at the moment. I want to keep simple with this answer. But many people come together knowing they're going to meet, if you want, a nemesis, or somebody that's going to be very challenging or difficult, or isn't on their vibration, or doesn't vibe with them well, because it's going to lead them into greater self-awareness within themselves, force them to find self-love, and reach into the soul and become in alignment with their soul, rather than distracted by all of the earthly world around us. So, you know, through our challenges and difficulties, we grow, and sometimes more so than when we're just jogging along lovely in relationships that are harmonious. The relationships that force us to find inner strength, inner understanding, set boundaries, self-love. You know, sometimes the people around us, we do need to make sure we push away almost, or set limitations or boundaries to make sure they're not able to be toxic in our lives. When they get into the spirit dimensions, they can both see the purpose behind it, or understand the bigger picture. Let's put it that way. That doesn't mean they're going to still choose to travel through eternity or life with each other, but they're going to be able to bless that person for showing them something about themselves that they needed to know and access. Okay, I'm going to move on to another question. What's the time? We're going to run out of time on here. I'm going to have to come back to this, but I do want to cover this one. Melissa Jane, I promised you that I would answer your question, and I am here. Probably one of the last ones I'm going to answer tonight, so I don't lose everybody's interest and attention. But just for you, Melissa Jane, I hope you're seeing this. You have asked me, what do our loved ones do who have crossed over to the spirit world? I've touched on that a little bit. And with your experience of communicating with spirit, do they ever share with you what they do all day? I understand that time doesn't exist like it does here. And I know from my reading with you that they take an interest in what their family are doing. But I wondered, do they create their own reality? Now, this is where I want to cover this. Thanks for taking the time to read this. Bless you. I said I would. And I just want to cover this, creating your own reality. So when spirit beings cross over into the spirit dimensions, those dimensions are literally multi-dimensional. They are, White Feather, my spirit guide, terms them as the Summerlands, and there are many levels, if you like, of existence, where you can experience very different types of existence. So I talked a little bit about the astral planes, and as we leave our body, we move into realms that are closer to the conditions of Earth that seem familiar, where people can go and learn and, gain new skills, almost be in service to others. But we do create that reality, it seems, and we create it because we are all connected into that one unified consciousness. And just like here, what my philosophy I often go by is the Hermetic philosophy, easier said, of as above, so below. So I really feel like, as here in the physical world, where we come together and we create our experience with those who we gel with, those who we don't gel with, and that we create the world around us. I mean, if you just look out your windows where you're sitting in your homes, that street, that piece of land, that area has been crafted and created by minds that have come together, and it's taken that form because of the ideas that have been held. And that's exactly the same in the spirit dimensions. So they look and take the form and the look of how those collective consciousness in that level of reality, on that frequency, has created it to look. As we get into higher spheres of planes of existence in the spirit world, where we're losing or dropping the spiritual body and moving more into a light body, because there is, if you want, almost an element of transition or death in the spirit realms as well. We're shedding skins all the time. We shed this physical skin, then we shed a heavier spiritual skin, until we're moving into existences of pure light and consciousness. I mean, clearly those realms are not going to look anything like the existence of a physical world. I have seen the most beautiful states, places in spirit dimensions where I've been allowed to travel with spirit guides, where I've only been allowed to go so far, but I've seen realms that just look, all I can say is sort of out of a fantasy book, or just almost magical colors, structures I can't even describe, crystalline type structures as well, buildings, and all, even not buildings. It would be impossible to say what it actually looked like, more like realms of color and light, shapes and sounds. It's just fascinating. There are just so many, I don't think our brain can even quite grasp consciousness and the different ways that consciousness can express itself and experience itself in different levels of reality. I guess that's the best way I can write it. So yes, they do create their own reality, and like we all are creating our own reality now, but ultimately it's a collective reality, and we move up, if with our awareness and our spiritual understanding. And you don't have to be a spiritual person, by the way, to be able to do that. So it isn't, being a spiritual person is not an award that needs to be worn like a badge of honor here, because I'm going to get to a higher plane of spiritual awareness. Some of the kindest people that you'll ever meet, that are coming straight from the heart, don't have any spiritual interest. It really is about where you're resonating at your core with your soul, and how aligned you are with it, and aligned with that unconditional nature. And then when you move into those planes of reality and out of the egoic thinking mind, which exists beyond the physical body, but that's a video for another day. When you're moving beyond that level of understanding into higher states of awareness, then reality looks completely different. How are you all doing? I'm seeing all the comments coming in there. Do you know, I feel so honoured to have you with me tonight. I feel like I've done a real whistle-stop tour here, talking on some very deep subjects, and I've got even more, so I'm going to have to do another video and just keep going, coming back with the questions, coming back with answers, to your questions, because I know they're important, and that somebody hearing this is going to gain some comfort and strength or understanding even if it's just that you realize there's so many other people out there too that have the interests that you do, that are in, don't think you're stupid, don't think that you have lost the plot or you're crazy. Whenever I get people coming to me saying I'm not crazy, but I know they're not crazy, because they've clearly gone through the process of even questioning their sanity to even say that. Just to bring you together and just to help you understand. Jenny's saying, thank you so much. Please keep doing more of these. They're really comforting. I am honestly so pleased. Great job, Claire. Oh, thank you, Cisco. Sometimes I think I speak too quickly, but I'm trying to get through everything, impart the knowledge I have. There is just, I've been doing mediumship now for 25 years, but I have obviously a whole lifetime of experience. There is just so much knowledge in my head that I want to share so that other people can learn, but also share with me so I can learn from you guys. Sometimes it's coming out at 100 miles an hour, but I hope that I've been articulate enough here tonight. I hope that I've left those of you who need some upliftment and hope with some hope. And that, in these weeks that we're heading up towards Christmas, where we particularly miss our loved ones, or if we're feeling unhappy at a time when everybody else around us seems to be happy, I can assure you that most people are having difficult lives and we've all got our crosses to bear. I just hope that this video, in some way, me coming to you live, just brings a little bit of light and inspiration if you're having a difficult time. That's really what I want to get out of it. Like I said at the beginning, it's my way of giving back for free to the world, giving my time and giving my knowledge and experience for nothing. Okay, what do we got? I can follow you without any problem, and I'm not a native speaker. Oh, that's so good, Pat. Thank you for letting me know. And oh, thank you, Sam, saying it's lovely for your support. So, guys, you know what? I think I'm going to have to sign out, and then I shall send out another date. So follow me here on Together with Spirit. If you haven't clicked subscribe, please do that. Click the bell icon, because then you will receive notification of when I'm coming on live and when videos are being released. Lots of you ask me when I'm going to be opening up my diary for bookings. That's going to be in the new year, and I will be releasing videos, keeping you all up to date. I'm no longer on Facebook. There was too much fraudulence. I was being cloned. Clients were being asked for money. It's not a safe place. Here on YouTube, I know it's a different platform and many people have got to get used to it, but I'm either speaking to you or I'm not speaking to you. I cannot be cloned. Here I am. You're getting it straight from the horse's mouth. And I would never, ever ask anybody for money up front. Okay, I do not ask for credit card details, and I have a booking system that people have to go through. Please don't ever part with money from someone pretending to be me or any other medium until you know that you've been through a proper booking process and you have got all of the information you need up front. Money is generally taken by mediums on the day of the reading or directly after. Do not part with your money. I can't stress it enough. And make sure that you're staying safe online and that you're not following what you think is a official account when it's not. But you know all this, guys. Okay, Nicola Hart always loves my enthusiasm. And you know what? I've been keeping it a little bit low tonight, Nicola. The energy levels aren't, I've been doing readings all day. I was feeling like, I'm more tired, but, I can ramp it up. Bring a little bit of, I don't know, a smiley face. A smile. Doesn't a smile always lift people's days? I love it when people smile at me. That and a hug. Okay, everyone. So, yes, if you click subscribe, hit the button, join me on Instagram. I'm also on TikTok now for my sins. So I'm there. I'm out there. Stay in touch. Look at my website, www.clairebroad.com, and I shall be back again soon with another live. I want to thank you all for being here with me and for the time you've given. I can see the comments all coming in. Bless you all, and I shall see you soon. Stay safe out there. Mwah.